Hi, everybody. Welcome to SnapLabs TV. I'm excited to welcome to the lab Aaron Kessler, an AI and machine learning product manager here at SnapLogic. Today, we're going to be talking about prompt engineering, and I couldn't be more excited. Let's get started. Aaron, thank you for joining us here today at SnapLabs TV.
Yeah, thank you.
Super excited to have you here. Before we get going, just so that people know who you are, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a little idea of what you work on here at SnapLogic?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Aaron Kessler. I'm a senior product manager here for all of our AI products. So that includes SnapGPT, GenAI App Builder, and then all of our ML Snap Packs.
Can you give the audience just kind of a little bit of an understanding of what is an LLM?
Yeah, so LLM stands for large language model. You can think about it just essentially as like it's a massive model of text. And so what a lot of these LLM providers have done is they've actually just sort of gone out and looked at all the high quality content that is on the internet, and they've put a numeric representation of that text to be able to essentially predict the next best word in a sentence.
Who are the kind of the big games in town when it comes to LLMs?
Yeah, so the big ones are Anthropic Claude. We support Anthropic Claude via Amazon Bedrock. Then there's also OpenAI. And so OpenAI has GPT. We're all familiar with ChatGPT, at least most of us. They also have it on Azure. So they have a partnership with Microsoft. And then the other top one is Google Gemini.
When I think about this from SnapLogic, or at least from the enterprise perspective, one of the terms that I hear a lot is prompt engineering. And with LLMs, there's prompts that go into them to get the output that you want. I understand that. But can you give me an understanding of what is prompt engineering?
Yeah. It's interesting because we just had a customer who asked the same exact question. And so the way I like to explain it is, if you think about any type of process that you have as a business or whatever, if you were to explain that process to a new employee, if you were to write it all down and put it into a prompt into, say, ChatGPT, that is prompt engineering, where you're explaining bit by bit what exact things you want the model to do, and then it's going to actually do those things for you.
And when you think about like the engineering part, is that like more about like the feature or the explanation of like going back and forth and trying to refine things? I guess, what's a complicated example of engineering a prompt into the way you want it?
That's actually the engineering piece, right? Is like you're iterating on that prompt to figure out how to get the best result back, right? So, for instance, we had prompts where the models like Claude were not producing JSON, right? Mm-hmm. So we actually had to make it, multiple steps of like, please only give me JSON. Please only give me JSON. Please only give me JSON back. And so after a while, it would actually understand, okay, I'm only going to give you JSON back.
It doesn't know what it doesn't know. Right. You haven't told it. And you don't realize that you haven't told it or you haven't fed it that information. So I guess is prompt engineering just feeding it, refining that prompt to include all the information to get your desired outcome?
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. And then it's a trial and error process, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to encourage all of our customers to do is like, if you're not getting the results back that you want the first time, that doesn't necessarily mean, you didn't explain it the exact way, that you thought was right. It actually means you didn't explain it the way the model wanted you to. Yeah. Right. So it's just a very iterative process. You have to go back and forth with it. Almost like you're talking to a human, right? Yeah. That might not understand. Like, okay, now try explaining it to your grandma, right?
Yeah, I was like thinking of explaining things to my 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they don't know anything, right?
Exactly.
Explain to them like they don't know anything. So you're feeding them all this new information. When you're talking about an enterprise, like you're talking about your proprietary data, your data that doesn't live on the internet, right? It's your locked away proprietary data. So you have to explain how you want to interact, the results that you want, all that stuff.
Exactly. And the more examples that you give it, the better, right? So if you say, here's an example of this entire spreadsheet, right? And now I want you to generate a new spreadsheet that meets those types of, columns, rows, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a great thing, right? And that's what we call few shot prompting, where you're actually giving it an example and then you're expecting a result based off of that example.
Got it. And that kind of leads into one of the new features that I know SnapLogic has recently come out with that I know you've been helping with the team with. Talk to me about measuring the performance of LLM outputs and what SnapLogic is doing to help with that.
Yeah, so we just released a new pipeline in our pattern library called the evaluation pipeline. Mm-hmm. And so this is a way to essentially evaluate your AI applications where, you have a predicted response that you want that you're expecting the model to produce, and then you have the actual response that the model is producing, and then you want the model actually to compare the two results and give it a numeric value back based off, out of 100, right? And so then what you could do with that information is any response over, say, 80%, those responses get through, and then any responses under 80%, maybe let's go back and rework on those.
So we talked a lot about what is an LLM, what is prompt engineering, and some new stuff that SnapLogic's coming out with to help support that. I guess, where can people go and learn more or get to know more about SnapLogic?
Yeah, definitely check out our website. We actually just released a new blog on the evaluation pipeline, so definitely check that out and then click Get a Demo.
Well, Aaron, thank you for joining me here on SnapLabs TV.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, that's all the time we have today here at SnapLabs TV. Thank you to our special guest, and thank you to all of you for joining us here today. If you're interested in learning more, head over to snaplogic.com.